This is over $2,000 worth of Louis Vuitton fragrances, and I've worn all of them. Louis Vuitton makes some of the most hyped up and expensive fragrances that you can buy, but which ones are actually worth it? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be ranking all 7 of my LV fragrances from worst all the way to best. Let's get into the list. In at dead last place is actually Louis Vuitton's most recent fragrance release, and that is Louis Vuitton Lovers. Now, I actually think this was a collaboration with the singer Pharrell Williams, and I don't know what Pharrell Williams, fragrance taste is like, but clearly it can't be that good because this fragrance by far is the worst Louis Vuitton that I have ever smelled. This fragrance is by far the least blind buy safe on this list. It is one of the weirdest and most interesting fragrances I have ever put my nose to, and I'm not gonna lie, I blind bought this because it was the newest LV fragrance and I was really hyped for it. And as soon as I smelt it, my mind just went to pickle juice. That is all of this fragrance smells like to me. It is super woody, super green, and has a big dose of ginger. This thing is just something different. I don't like it, but I know for a fact that some people watching this will be your favorite scent. It's one of those. It's a love or hate fragrance. If you like something like Santal 33, you might enjoy this. If you have a more kind of basic nose, which I feel like I do, there is a good chance you are gonna absolutely despise how this thing smells. Before I get into the number 6 spot, this is a disclaimer. Everything from this point forward is, in my opinion, a good fragrance or better. Like, I'm talking at least a 7.5 out of 10 or better. Louis Vuitton Lovers to me is like a 6 out of 10, but everything from this point forward is pretty freaking good. Louis Vuitton's Afternoon Swim. I love how this smells. I never used to really like orange heavy fragrances until I smelled this, and it totally changed my perception on the way like a citrus based fragrance can even smell, because to me this is like a sugary orange sour sherbet gummy. It is so sparkling, it is so refreshing. So you might be thinking, well, if you love how it smells so much, why the hell is it at the number 6 spot? I'm glad you asked. Let me explain. Quite simply put, this is one of the worst performing fragrances I have ever experienced. And the fact that they are charging $350 for this fragrance, and it is one of the worst performing fragrances I have ever used, those two things should not be coming out of my mouth. Not at all. It is disgraceful. I'm talking 3.5 to 4 hours longevity. It's a skin scent after an hour. It is so soft projecting. The only time I wear this fragrance now is when I'm going down to the beach, because I'm going to smell amazing when I get there, and I'm going to hop in the water right away anyway, and it'll be off. That's the only time. I guess maybe that's why it's called Afternoon Swim. Wait. If you don't mind that the performance isn't good, then you might really like this fragrance. It might even be worthwhile to use your money on. If you want an orangey sherbet, really sweet, but just super high quality smelling orange citrus fragrance, then this could be the one for you. To me, it smells like crushed orange leaves in a bottle. A lot of people have this next fragrance a lot higher in their Louis Vuitton ranking list. In fact, a lot of people put this at the number 1 spot. But for me, at the number 5 is Louis Vuitton's Imagination. Now, this fragrance I have never really loved all that much. To me, it just, when I first smelled it, I was like, this smells good. And my opinion on it just hasn't really changed. I think if you really just want to smell fresh and clean, like you just had a really luxurious bubble bath at like a 5-star hotel, and you want to smell like that for another 5 or 6 hours, this is a great option for you. But if you want something kind of more interesting, something less kind of just fresh and ultra citrusy realistic, this is not your vibe. And for me, it's just not my vibe. It's just not my thing. That's just how it is sometimes. I really like the tea and ginger combination. I will say that is quite a unique kind of note breakdown to put in a fragrance that is just really fresh and clean, but still it's not enough for me to rate this fragrance above an 8 out of 10 or so. The performance is just okay. To me, the smell is good, but for how much this thing costs, it's just never really impressed me that much. On top of that, this fragrance has been duped hell out of. So if you want a cheaper alternative, there are so many available. For example, Cuddlush Blue Spice and Game of Spades Full House. Those are two amazing dupes of this fragrance. I always say, if you can afford the real thing, just buy the goddamn real freaking thing. But like, if you're kind of broke, just get those instead. They smell pretty much identical. And some of them are even stronger. In at the number 4 spot is a fragrance I would put on a similar tier to Imagination. Like if I could do a two-way tie, be between City of Stars and Imagination. This is a very florally, ultra-realistic citrus beach type of fragrance, in my opinion. You get basically every citrus ever imaginable in the no breakdown, lemon, bergamot, orange, whatever it is probably in this fragrance. I also do find it is extremely unisex. I mean, this is marketed towards men, but I think a woman probably suits this fragrance the best, to be honest. This is the fragrance I imagine wearing at like a Miami Beach nighttime party, but I would need a lot of sprays because like a lot of Louis Vuitton fragrances, if you haven't noticed, it's kind of a trend. Their citrusy fresh fragrances have really lackluster performance for the price. And this one is no exception, but it's also not terrible. I get around 5-6 hours longevity with soft to moderate projection. It's a really nice fragrance. Is it one that I find myself reaching for a lot in all my Louis Vuitton fragrances? Not really. If you've been looking for a ultra realistic citrusy fragrance with a super musky and powdery dry down, then this fragrance could be a safe blind buy, but I think a lot of people are going to be really surprised at how damn powdery this fragrance is in the dry down. It definitely took me off guard, so I'd recommend sampling this one before spending the $350 on it. The next 3 Louis Vuitton fragrances are 100% worth the money. These, in my opinion, are all a 9 out of 10 or higher. These are the kings of LV, and we're going to be kicking off the top 3 with Louis Vuitton Symphony, the most gorgeous bottle I think I have ever seen in my life. But what isn't gorgeous is that damn price tag. 915 Australian dollars this costed me. Do you know the amount of shit my bank account was talking to me for weeks after buying this? Despite the insane price, I can almost justify it. It is just that damn good. In fact, if this was priced the same as my other Louis Vuitton fragrances, it might even be at the number 1 spot. Like, it's at that level. The note breakdown for this does not do it justice. I think it's just 3 notes: grapefruit, bergamot, and like ginger or something. And yes, the ginger and the grapefruit together, you can definitely smell it, but I swear there's some sort of like peach or almost like watermelon-y type vibe in this fragrance. It's so fruity, it's really sweet. Again, you could argue that it leans feminine, but I just don't care. There's something special about this fragrance. There's something addictive that they've put in this, and I just can't pinpoint it. For a fragrance as fresh as this, the performance is actually surprisingly good, around 7-8 hours longevity with moderate projection. I have no complaints about the performance. I love the bottle. I just love everything about this fragrance except the price. But if price isn't an issue for you, I 100% recommend getting this. At the runners-up spot, the silver medal for Louis Vuitton is going to Pacific Chill. This was my number 1 for over 6 months until I discovered the number 1 spot, which I'll be getting to. This is so unbelievably fruity. You have to love really sweet, really fruity fragrances. Think of like Rosasi Hawes, but make it niche. That is what this fragrance smells like to me. This is one of the only fragrances as well that has a really strong apricot note, and I love how apricot smells, but you hardly ever see anybody use it in perfumery, and I love that Louis Vuitton kind of made that risk and went for it in Pacific Chill. This is one of the most uplifting and just refreshing fragrances you can put on. Like, you know, it's a really hot summer's day and you don't feel like wearing any type of cologne. This is one of those ones where you can wear it no matter how hot it is outside. Somehow they've combined fruity, fresh, sweet, but also made it masculine. Like, I do think this leans masculine. It would be so perfect for like a Fiji summer night party. 4 or 5 sprays. People will love how you smell. Pacific Chill is an amazing fragrance. Still try before you buy, even if you know you like those fruity fragrances. That apricot note to some people might be off-putting, but I love it. 10 out of 10. And finally, at the number 1 spot, you might be thinking, it's gotta be Ombre Nomad, right? It has to be. That's Louis Vuitton's most popular fragrance. Fuck no. Fuck no. I hate Ombre Nomad, but I love Les Sables Roses. This to me is kind of like the more unisex slash almost female version of Ombre Nomad. It has two types of rose. It's got oud and it's got saffron, but the way that they've blended rose, oud and saffron together is like nothing I've ever smelled before. Oud Satin Mood by MFK used to be my favorite rose fragrance of all time. Mind Games Prodigy probably still is, but this has got to be a close second. I do tend to find myself only wearing this when I'm dressed up or for nights out, because I do think it's quite a mature and grown-up fragrance. It is also a powerhouse projector, not quite as strong as Ombre Nomad, but people will be noticing you. Like 3 or 4 sprays, that scent trail will be working. Some people are going to love this, some people it is not going to be their cup of tea, and that is okay. All I am begging for you is next time you bypass your local LV store and you go in to smell Pacific Chill, Imagination, the ones that everyone talks about, give this one a try too, and I think it will surprise you. That is going to wrap up this video on ranking all 7 of my Louis Vuitton fragrances from worst to best. Let me know if you agree with my ranking, what you would change, and what your favorite LV fragrance is of all time. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.